And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the third episode of the Pashanite Club. Our next guest is CEO of a brand new AI-based startup called SellStatic that is leading the game in the AI-based platform to help realtors both leverage and grow. And not to mention, a good friend of mine and someone who I look to as a brother, Mr. Imam Khalid.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Very nice intro.
Nah, man, it's all deserved. So I like to do this thing, or I like to ask my people this one question. What are you passionate about?
What am I passionate about? I think passion is something that is another word for someone's why. My why is that I want to create a massive impact. I feel that a lot of my time when I was younger, it was hard to be understood by a lot of people, and it was a challenge of, like, I always wanted a leadership role. I always wanted to, like, do something, but it was hard to articulate, whether it was grade, again, not the smartest, whether it was with grades, whether it was with a lot of different things.
So you're the line leader and stuff.
Yeah. But no, my main goal is that, like, what I'm passionate about is that I want to build something new and have an impact in some sort of industry, and that's kind of what, like, motivated the startup as well. But yeah, man, that's if you ask me, I think that's the best way to put it.
That's actually crazy because my segue was going to be, what is your why? No, but you answered, you did a great job. And why did you pick your industry that you picked now? Because you're in real estate, correct?
Yeah.
Why real estate? You could have done anything else with the same platform.
So, listening to a lot of leaders, you hear that you should do something that we have a little bit of knowledge in. And I feel that knowledge is one of those things that is substantial based off of where you've been growing up, where you've been raised. And what ended up happening was that I used to listen to all these problems that were happening. My father's in real estate, brother's in real estate, and I would listen to all these challenges that were happening around and around the office when I'd go to work with them, and seeing where challenges would start to happen was when I'm in office. You see dad up at 11 trying to figure out an offer, like something, like, there were so many little minute things that would happen again and again. And I realized that I know so much about real estate just naturally. I'm very passionate in sales. I've worked again something like you, but we met through like that as well, where before I've worked so many different sales jobs now, that how can I utilize both of the real estate market and sales? And then I'm in the computer science, I have a computer science background, so it's how can I utilize all of these? And to be honest, when you put a pen to a paper with a little bit of excitement, SellStatic ended up coming out.
So many would say that if you were already good at sales and you knew a little bit about real estate, why not just go towards real estate, right? Well, you could have been a killer realtor. Why did you choose, I'm going to accept the background and do more of the background work and not the forward work?
If you want the honest truth is that in real estate, I know my pathway, if I really, really wanted to, is built. It's the easy route. I know I can go into real estate and probably do pretty well. I have a layout, my brother and my dad, I can join and do something with them. But the difference is that when you're younger, everyone wants, like, you've always had that thing where I wanted to start something, I want to start a business. And in real estate, like, a lot of your day-to-day transactions are very remote. Like, you can do them again and again and again. So, and you can do them remotely, you can do them in person. So our thing is that since I know I have something down the road that I, for worst case, need to go to, whether it's my degree in software sales I need to go into, I decided that right now is the best time to launch a business. When you're young, you have a lot of risks you can take. You're able to go and execute. You have the support of a school. You have the support of like-minded individuals like our team. And that is what kind of motivated me to say that why don't we build something different than what the norm is for people already? Like, I feel like my father's already worked for 14 years in an area where he's built an expertise, he's provided for us. Why not use that kind of like a sports analogy, like an alley-oop, to go do something broader than just real estate and go into different segments and bring technology into it, because I studied it. So that was kind of the goal in terms of the reason I chose to start the startup specifically.
And what makes you so special? Because let me tell you this, you have this like crazy AI thing, blah, 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 but there's so many people who are already doing this. Maybe not in the same industry itself, but as a CEO, what makes you different from other ones?
I think what makes me different is I spend a lot of my time trying to learn the difference between leadership and management. A lot of people think that just because you're a good manager, you're a good leader. And I disagree. Because leadership is something that can't be taught. It's something that the more practice you get, whether it's a basketball coach you are, whether it's you leading a team, whether it's a student club, you get more and more experience in like solving different problems for different specific people and how to use that and their motivation to motivate them to work harder towards a goal. So what I think makes me special is that I'm a people's person.
Yeah.
I think when you see something specific that I want to help specific people out with, I focus very hard on customers. A lot of startups fail and a lot of businesses fail because they're not focused enough on their customers. And they build stuff, they build products, and especially in the tech, computer science world, you see it all the time. You see these genius kids just wanting to build stuff and wasting all their time, but they don't know how to market, they don't know who to go to sell, they don't know what to do. So my specialty in my degree was, I have these very talented kids who are spending all their time building these cool projects, but they build one, they put it away, they build one, they put it away, they build one, they put it away. Why don't I grab these guys, show them that, hey, look what your potential is, look what you can do. And our goal was to grab that and build off of it. And that's where leadership is. That's where learning, and you get to learn what people want, and helping them achieve that goal. This is beautiful. I'll end off with this last thing, is that I heard this beautiful quote, that a true leader is able to bring hope in a room when all hope is lost. And I feel that is something that I really want to specialize in and make better and better, that I've been able to do. So that's kind of what I would say.
I like that. So now you touched upon like this whole journey of yours and everything from the start to the finish, and 100% of the journey comes challenges. What are some few challenges that like the big ones that you faced?
Whether with business or
I say honestly with everything, because like I'll even tell you this, like since I started this whole little podcast journey of mine, I know it's like episode 3 or whatever, but I've recorded episodes where I didn't even post yet with other people, because I just feel like there's so many things that happen, and you just start seeing things at such a different view, and there's also things that behind the scenes that you don't see. Like you see the setup, you see it's cool, but to get to the setup was hard, right? It's dealing with that little things. And what would you say like the main thing was for you, or a few things? Honestly, let's go with the business, something where I was maybe like talent management, because you talk about managing and being leader. Where do you see it there?
I think as blessing as it is starting a business of students, so like our company, everyone's below the age of 25. We believe that age is just a number, and we want to create an impact in our community and show people that, you know, you can build a multi-million-dollar company with pushing towards everyone, like without having someone with years and years of experience. So I think the main thing that really got me, like my challenges, my leadership pushed, was how to find motivated people. I'm learning quickly, and I learned, and you know, we've had team members come and go, that sometimes people just want to be part of the ride. There's joyride. There's like, I had to build my no free ride zone very, very fast, because you know the startup sounds sexy. It's like real estate, tech, innovation, wow, and everyone wants to get their hand in the cookie jar. But the problem is that when that happens, you start having people that are just there for show. They want their resume.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
Resume cloud.
So that is one of the biggest challenges that I had to learn from, and at early I had to figure out, how can I differentiate myself from these business kids trying to, just be part of the team for show, or these tech kids that just want to like, you know, put something on their resume and they don't do much. You know, that's money out of your pocket, right? You don't want to be able to lose your traction, because there's another beautiful thing that everyone's heard, that like one drop of poison in a glass of water, what happens? That glass is contaminated, right? No matter, I've been to a Tony Robbins conference, I've heard some of the biggest speakers in the world, and they say the same very thing, that as soon as you find a disease in a company, kill it.
And you would say that that resume clout, like the ones who are just going for that one particular thing.
I agree. Those are the poison, because when they're joining your company, they're not doing it for a broader vision. They're not doing it because they want to learn. I see the last thing, I guess I'll finish this question off with, is that as soon as I see somebody that is not learning anymore, I don't even fire them. I ask them, I'm like, hey, listen, you're not learning. If you're not learning a thing, I think you should leave.
100%.
Because tomorrow's goal should always be bigger than your current today's goal. Tomorrow's work needs to be done. But if it's the same thing you're doing consistently day out and day in, you're not learning. And this is to everybody. I say that if you're not learning, you're not growing. So that's something that I'd really say is something that I had to learn very early.
You know, I was touching upon, in the sense of when you talk about talent management and you talked about finding people who actually care, I feel like there was a slight degree of what I faced too early on, was a slight degree of arrogance I've had. Right now, let me tell you, 100% we should be arrogant towards our company. Yes, that like this is my company, this is what I'm doing, this is my podcast, blah blah blah, and have that. But where I felt like was when I was talking to one of my editors, and I was like, yo, I want this done, this done, this done, and in my head I'm like, bro, like why isn't he pulling up? Like why is he not putting the same for I have? And at that time itself, I got this cold realization. I was like, yo, why would he? Right? I'm invested into this. This is my passion. This is my why. Like I love everything about this, and you love everything about your company. But I think what I had to like really come to was, yo, it's like at the end of the day, this company or this whatever I'm doing right now is only this big.
A mentor kind of told me once that nobody is going to work harder on your company than you. Nobody is going to work harder on your company than you. And I looked at him and I was like, but why? But why? Like, that's bullshit. Like, that's not fair. Like, it's I'm giving up equity, I'm giving up shares, but it's true.
100%.
When you're, that's why leadership and being a CEO and being boss is so important, because you need to realize that the expectation is on you.
Exactly.
You are the person that is leading. And if there's something wrong in management or in leadership or in the company, it's 100% accountability.
100%.
You are the person to hold yourself accountable and be responsible for those changes. So when something goes down in the company, like, of course I'm going to get upset, but at the end of the day, like, even my mentor saying, Mom, it's your fault. And an investor isn't going to get mad at the team. They're going to get mad at the person who's running it. So I feel that goes around all areas of your life, whether it's with family, whether it's with work, whether it's with business. Accountability is one of those things where our friends and I actually do something where, we have weekly review sessions. And it's one of those things that, you're going in and you're reviewing all those different areas of your life. You're reviewing that, as you said, like, are you arrogant?
Are you? Exactly.
Are you someone who pushes like other people around? What type of leader are you? And you need people to hold you check for that, because if you don't, you tend to be people that you're not going to execute as well.
Do you think that that's something you struggle with the company in terms of with school? Because I feel like now, when you walk into the building, right, everyone's like, the eyes are on you. Like, yo, Imam, I saw your reel. Yo, I saw this, right? Do you feel like that arrogance aspect comes naturally with that?
See, I heard something from Alex Hormozy once, that when people start calling you arrogant, when people start saying that, like, hey man, like, you're Mr. Top Shot now, you're Mr. Hero now, change your group. Change the people you surround yourself by, because you're just at the top of their hill. If there's a mountain and you're climbing a different mountain, but you know how mountains have little valleys, right? I feel like I'm not even at the baby peak yet. But in others' eyes, it's, wow, he's doing so much. So there's this saying that my brother and I would say to each other, that you're just at the top of someone else's hill. It's envy. It's arrogance forms when there's a beautiful analogy that I heard in a book as well that I was reading, which was an arrogant person thinks highly of himself and lowly of others.
Yeah.
A confident person thinks highly of himself and highly of others.
So then in that sense, you would say more towards you gravitate to confidence and less arrogance then. Because then in that same thing, it kind of contradicts the first statement of arrogance. One thing kind of touching at is that there was a famous emperor. His name was Marcus Aurelius. And his famous thing that he died for, or was known for before he died, was he had an assistant following him around through Rome in town square. And all he would say is every time someone said, yo, I gave him a compliment, you're just a man. You're just a man. And constantly told him that to level him. And the follow-up quote goes, they say two things define us: our patience when we have nothing, and our humility when we have everything. Because of keeping him grounded was the reason why he went so high that he did. Because as he started getting that recognition, there was people in his ears. And of course, I can see when you say, yo, there was this one guy and there was the enemies or stuff, you can say your enemies saying like, oh, bro, but you're like this, but you're only doing this, but how many sales have you gotten? Let me see the numbers, let me see this, let me see that. And that's just hatred. But I feel like to a degree, that keeps you accountable. Like when my friends go like, yo, like this is sick podcast, sure, but respectfully, my guy, like you're only doing this, stop moving like you're this, right? And for me, after, as shitty as it makes me feel, it takes me back to like, you know what? He's true though. Like how big are the followers? How many views am I getting? Respectfully, like, I can see where they're coming from. If anything though, I feel like it's not to take me down, it gets me work harder.
100%.
Right? It's like you hear that, it's like you just touched about change your environment. I guarantee you, if that was something you've done in your life, bro, the way you propel, the straight speed you get and you launch is crazy. And I think a good friend of mine told me
And
this.
that's your why.
Exactly. And they told me this one thing. It was a person, like a super close friend. He's dealing with the same thing. It's like, yo, I have this group, right? He's like, I'm like, every time I talk to them about a certain thing, they just bring me down. And and the analogy given was, yo, right now, you're like a speeding boat, right? Just waiting to come off. But you have this anchor, his group, his friends. But as soon as you cut that out, he's there, right? He's speeding. He's going full, like, pedal to the metal. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't understand, because we all can come out like in a circle and be like, you know what, yeah, my circle, my 5 people define me, my 5 people do this. But sweetheart, if that's the case, then what's your 5 circle? Like, what's your 5 people doing? Like, when was the last time we actually questioned, like, yo, you're my friend, but like, is that it? Is that all the thing we can go, you know, have a drink, whatever, that end of story? Is that all we're doing? We're going, eating some food, talking shit, and that's it? Have those friends, knock yourself out. But when was the last time you questioned that?
It's a funny analogy, because I had my brother, I had my, like, when you're younger, your family always tells you, like, you know, being in an international home of, like, with international parents, you know that a lot of what they say is, you know, who are your friends? When you're younger, your parents are questioning you, who are your friends? What are you doing? Like, you know, where are you going? And when you're younger, you're just like, you know, they don't understand me. You have this whole mental game that you're playing, but it's so funny on how the leaders of the world tell us this now, but then when we get older, we realize ourselves that they might be a good person. And I heard something from Tony Robbins where they might be a good person. You know, if you look close enough, it's hard to hate somebody.
Yeah.
And they might be a good person, but you have to learn to love someone from afar. Whether that's family, whether that's people that you hang out with every day. And loving someone from afar isn't like, you know, exactly what you were saying, going to daily hangouts, whether seeing them every single day. It's having that person you love, but remember, like, I'm working on me for you. Not that I'm going to work on you for you. I'm going to work on me for you. Because when I'm more powerful, when I have the ability to, when I have the resources to, when I grow stronger, you go stronger. But the problem is, when people are closer to you, I had to learn at a young. It was hard. It was people close to you don't always have the greatest intentions. People close to you that seem like, you know, they're rooting for you, but you heard that analogy growing up again and again that, like, you know, they're only with you when you're up, and it's like, I'm not up.
This is the thing with you. They don't like us at that point.
It's just like someone just sees you doing something that they have been wanting to do for a very long time. And when someone wants something that you have, it's envy.
I feel like one thing to think with that is also, like, it hurts a lot more in that sense, in a hater's eyes, when you know that person.
100%.
Right? Because I feel like, say there's 2 people, there's me and you, right? And you have friend X, right? And you're super close with him. You're talking to him 24/7, blah, 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 and now you launched a startup. Now, he's seeing first place that now it's someone in my immediate circle did this exact same.
Dude,
you know what it is? It's that realization of he had the same 24 hours
I was
I
gonna
did.
say, I have people that I saw on a daily basis, and, like, out of the blue, like, they're not saying hi to you anymore. They're walking past you in the halls, like,
But
no one's going out of you to say their way, and that's where these are the people that you keep track of. These are the people that, what were you doing with them when you went to go hang out?
Exactly.
Those are the people that you're keeping attached to you.
But you know what the worst thing is? What you'll realize is those are the same people that if a new person was winning, would be the first person to repost it, to talk about it and be like, you know what, good for you. But to their own friend who's doing that, they wouldn't.
I agree, 100%.
Right? And I feel like at that point, you just look at, it's not even the person's fault. You know, you can say that they're just shit people, whatever, but it's what you've done with them and everything that it's like, it's such a weird thing that comes into it, because I feel like they themselves may not be understand, like, yo, you know what, I actually don't like him. But, like, I don't even know that I don't like him. I don't even know that I'm a hater. But fuck, there's something about this kid who it just rubs me the wrong way.
I think the best way to finish, like, kind of this portion off is that, man, if you have haters are gonna hate. If you have, like, Jim Rohn is one of my great mentors that I listen to a lot of CDs from, and I call them mentors because, like, they're people that have, like, given me advice on, like, some of the hardest points in my life. And I learned this one thing that he says, like, haters are brought on earth to hate. Liars are gonna lie. Deceivers are gonna deceive. Givers are going to give. You just have to decide where you're going, what you're gonna do. So there's this last thing on this portion is that Alex Hormozi says, and this is one portion I really like listening to this guy, because he says this one thing where there's portions where you cast a shadow so big on these people that are hating on you. You cast a shadow so big that they flood with irrelevance. That there's like a story that's been told that this guy was standing outside class and he was hitting the gym, and like, you know, he had a good physique and he was like, I want to hit the gym, but like he didn't have anyone to do it. So a teacher sees him standing outside and he says, hey son, you hit the gym? He's like, no, like, but I want to, I don't know how. They start working out together, and like, you know, you could probably tell that he was like a slumped up kid who was with anger issues or something. But like, the kid goes and he hits the gym, and he's working with his professors. He's just like talking shit about the kids that like bother him, and he's like, yo, Billy, that Billy guy, like, as soon as Billy, like, when I'm rich, like, I'm gonna make this guy work for me. And then the gym teacher stops him. He's like, no, he's not. He's like, bro, like, let me have my moment. But he's like, no, you're not. He's not going to work for you. Not as far as I have something to do with it. And then I was listening to the story and I was a little curious here. But the teacher says is that when you go to Billy and that time comes, you work all this time to prove that one person wrong, that person's going to laugh in your face. You did all of that
to make one person pissed.
And it's like, they're the winners then. When you change the game you're playing to go affect someone else's, like to go play someone else's game. If a realtor's pissing me off right now and it's someone I know, if I jump into real estate and try working my hardest to outwork him or make more money than him, he's won. He's won. He's the person that is got me to change the game that I'm playing. So it's understanding that you just want, there is no other revenge other than success. Cast a shadow so big on those people that they just drown with irrelevance. And that's where, just keep doing. Like I would always have that anxiety feeling that when I'm working, am I doing the right thing? And like, you know, there's a feeling that what you're doing, is it going to work? Is it not going to work? And if you're feeling that and you're listening to this podcast, it is normal. It is normal. You are doing something right. Because right now you're in a spot where you don't fit in with the old friends that you used to work with, but you're not there yet where you're sitting around like multi-millionaires around them sitting and chatting all the time. There's this weird in between. It's good. That means you're on the right path. But that it's just to show people that, like, who are listening, who are entrepreneurs, who are students, who are trying to learn, you are doing the right thing. It's just a matter of consistency, being consistent for a long period of time.
I feel like touching on that, not to reopen this exact same conversation, but one thing I like to look at life is I like to look at it as like one big video game. Right? And whereas I'm the superhero, you know, they say you're the superhero of your own story. And in that sense, when you are that superhero of your own story, biggest thing is you have enemies, right? And in the sense of, I think Patrick David said this perfectly. It's like, and he made a whole book about it called "Choose Your Enemies Wisely," right? And at first you might think of, yo, that's just weird, blah 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 blah. Like, what are you gonna do about that? But then when you look deeper into it, bro talks about like using them as essentially taking their negative energy and using it as motivation. Using it as the reason why you're working harder than the next person because you remember what it is. And your enemy can be not only like the friend group that just left you, right? Yeah, 100% use that, but maybe someone closer to you and goes like, you know what, you're pathetic, you're nothing. Right? You have those things going like, yo, what are you doing? Like, oh, say this is cool. When you go to a family dollar and go like, oh, this is what I'm doing right now, this is what I'm doing right now. And someone goes like, cool, but where's the money at? Right? And right then in your head, they disrespect you in such a high level that like, you know what, from now on, from 1 to the first 2 years, you're my enemy. Right? And it's not like in a weird like, oh, he has control over me, but as soon as you look at life less as competition but more as an enemy, is like, I'm trying to get better than you, I feel like as a man, you tap into such a certain type of feeling you have in your gut. Like, you know what, at this point, it's not even, it's like, oh, yeah, we're my adversary. It's like, no, I'm trying to be better than you. I'm trying to do so much more than you that you won't even see. I'm trying to go so leaps and heavies, so next time I'm going that dawah, that you're going to be like, oh shit, let me get a job with you. Fuck money. Now you know I have that. Now you want to work for me. Right? At the same time, you back up and then you go to the next enemy. Because now you know you won.
It's the point of like, the only thing I would contest to that is like, man, trust me, I learned this the hard way. Like, it's cost me money. Where it's like, you put all your effort in trying to prove someone else wrong. Like, it's good to have, it adds, I feel like the biggest thing to add on to this is that it's good to have fuel. And of course, it's not a wrong reason to have proves people wrong. I've been doubted. And I'm not even at a point yet where I can say that I have substantial amount of success to like overload that. But we're working on it, right? I feel like this is where we can tie into the journey, that this is part of the journey. And anyone who's doing something right now, if you have a source of peace, period of hate, if you have sources of like, you don't know what you're doing, you're not content, it kind of ties back to what I'm saying, it's normal. It's okay. Like, it is okay to have these people that are drowning, you're just at the top of their hill. But if you have someone above you, there's no need to hate on or like making them an enemy. It's more to push, bring them as far as like part of your motivation to work harder.
I think at that point, but then you're also, it touches back to the thing of you use their energy to propel your motion.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And I think even like when you look back at of less of a you're doing this to me and it's a way to get back at you. But yeah, and kind of moving from there, kind of go back to like the games and stats, and you told me that you have a group that's dedicated to like, you have these buckets, right? And I think that's an amazing way to look at things, because now every time you do something, you go back to those buckets, right? So the way the bucket system that we have in place in my life is we'll have a spiritual, personal development, physical, like financial, we have everything, right? And now I kind of, where I look at it as like it being a game is, I have this entire life of mine, right? And day to day, I need to fill some type of bucket in. What am I doing to put like money into any type of bucket whatsoever, and energy into whatever bucket, right? How do you look at that in your life, and how do you manage your buckets?
I think the simplified question is work-life balance. A lot of people ask like, hey, having work-life balance, having balance. And there are going to be periods of your life where you're not balanced. I think what the trick of what we do is, if you're not balanced, once again, it's the portion that it's okay, it makes sense. If you're excelling in one portion of your life, it's that mindset that of course other things are going to suffer. But the question is how much? How much are you willing to put stuff aside? Because I wanted to bring up an analogy, and then I'll wrap it back around, which is something called the 2-degree shift. That when an airplane's taking off, when something's happening and airplane's taking off, and you tell that pilot to take off 2 degrees to the right, that plane's going to take off, but no one's going to notice. Literally nobody. Even probably we wouldn't notice. The front of the nose is pointed off. But then thousands of kilometers later, or miles later, where's that plane going to be? That plane is going to be in a completely different area of its life, or a destination, because you made that small shift. And when doing this, working with a bunch of different sources that you're saying in buckets, as long as you're doing something small in every single area to make sure that you're making that 2-degree shift. So if you were to ask yourself, and this is the point we do our accountability group as well, if you were to ask yourself in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, where would you be? Where are you going to be? Are you making those small shifts now? Because I heard something beautiful from Ed Milet, which was, when you pass away, we believe in God. We believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're chosen, we're shown that there is a person that you were meant to be. If you were to be introduced, once you pass away, to the person that you could be in heaven, like the best ideal person you could have been on this planet, how close are you right now to being that person?
100%.
And that is something that you need to work on a consistent basis, because it's not just business. It's not just working on your finances. It's raising a family. What's important to you?
Exactly.
It's your physical health. It's so many different areas that you're working on to create that impact. And how are you going to make that 2-degree shift and be consistent? That's the point of tracking all the different areas of your life. Because when you track it, you're able to match and understand what's happening in these different periods. And you know that, 3 weeks down the road, crap, it's been 3 weeks, fuck. I need to
do something, yeah.
Alarms start going off, you need to fix something. Guess what you get to do? You get to make that shift. That shift is one of the most important things that people need to understand. That, if there's Jim Rohn says this funny thing, which is an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
What a way to say it.
What if it's true? But then he makes a joke and he says, a Hershey bar a day. No, a Hershey bar a day. Again, it's that sense where a month later, I've been eating a Hershey bar every day. I can't eat a Hershey bar every day, but I can't. I feel great. I'm still running marathons. But what's going to happen in a couple months? What's going to happen in a couple years? So it's that analogy of you're not going to feel the temporary pain now, which is why people are okay with doing those small steps. And of course, I don't have my flaws, you have your flaws, but it's that long-term effect that you have to look into.
100%.